Welcome to That Seasonaire podcast. I'm your host Gina. Stick with me as I chat to seasonaires, expats and adventurers across the world sharing their inspiring stories and interesting insights into living and working abroad. On today's show, I catch up with fellow podcaster and successful content creator, the one and only Austrian Kiwi, Jonny Balchin. So you're not a skier, not much of a hiker, do a bit of skiing.
I like skiing. Yeah, it's okay. The problem with skiing is it's so expensive. I just can't afford it.
That's true.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel bad. I feel bad. No.
Yeah, I am judging you a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I would too.
In this episode, we hear the highs and challenges of Jonny's journey from setting off on his travels across Southeast Asia to the love story that we're presenting with a whole new life over here in Austria. Tune in as we hear how living in Austria and learning German inspired his creative comedy skits. We get an insight into the highs and challenges of Jonny's journey and listen right to the end of the show to hear some heartfelt home truths on how Jonny's social media success has shifted his passion from travelling to finding purpose and fulfillment in creative pursuits and productivity. This episode is supported by Dope Snow. Check the show notes below to join their community and find out more about their upcoming events this winter. Here's the show. Jonny Balchin. Have I said that right?
Yeah, of course.
Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Very good.
AKA Austrian Kiwi. How are you? What have you been up to?
I'm very good. Thank you. I don't know. I have days where I feel amazing and days where I feel like I'm useless. And now I'm kind of in a middle stage, but yeah, it's just crazy, like having to always try and think of content ideas. And some days I'll have like 5 amazing creative days. And then other days I have like 2 weeks or 2 days or whatever of just no ideas. And I think I'm like useless and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. Right now I'm good.
You're good.
I'm in a middle stage.
No, I know the feeling. It is, well, actually, you have got so much going on now because for the people listening who might not know, I feel like everyone I know knows who you are. But for people who don't know, you are a New Zealander who's come over to Austria. You've had a bit of a travel journey. We're going to run through it slightly different to what I normally do, which is interview seasonaires. You've done it in a slightly different way. But you have built a following on social media with your transition from, say, New Zealand to Austria and Austrian living, haven't you? So it's kind of blown up. So that's what you're talking about, is like looking for content ideas and having to keep up with that. Is that right?
Yeah. Sorry, I should have probably explained. I said something more about that. But,
yeah. Well, no, because actually most people that are listening to this probably already know who you are. But yeah, tell us a little bit about how you came to be in Austria.
I guess for people listening, if you don't know who I am, at the age of 21, I left New Zealand after finishing my uni. I studied business management, like super, super generic kind of topic. And then I went to Southeast Asia, to Thailand with a friend of mine. We traveled a bit together, and then my friend went back to New Zealand to be with his girl. It's a classic story kind of. And then whilst traveling alone, I met an Austrian girl, and then we kind of became friends. And then we traveled through Vietnam for 2 weeks. I'd hope to say fell in love, and I came to Austria to visit her quite spontaneously. I also have a British passport, so dual citizenship. And at that time,
cool.
That's the reason I could just sort of fly straight to Austria without any visas or anything. And so that's what I did. I flew to Salzburg, or eventually got to Salzburg. She's living at her parents' home on a farm, and I kind of showed up at their house. My Austrian girlfriend wasn't home at the time, and I sort of like awkwardly spent the day with her family, like as this New Zealander in Austria, just showing up. They didn't speak English or barely spoke English, so it was so weird. And yeah, and then I just lived with them, and then I ended up staying in Austria forever.
Yeah, nice.
Forever, yeah.
For now.
For now, yeah, since then.
Awesome. So what was it in the first place that kind of sparked your interest to go traveling in the first place?
I think there's a lot of people that can relate to, you don't want to, like, so classic, you hear like, you don't want to go with the system, you know, you want to like, what do? You go to work, I go to school, university, and then you just get a job and work for your life. Like, no, that sucks. And I think so many young people say that these days, like, nah, I want to do a world trip, or I want to go to Iceland, or I don't know, like. And so I was one of those kids thinking, like, I don't want to have a life just working after I finish studying. I want to get out and drink some buckets in Thailand and stuff, you know?
Yeah, nice. Nice, yeah. So yeah, tell us a bit about your travels. Where did you head to first? Was it Thailand you went to first?
Yeah, Thailand for 1 month. I think
Mhm.
that's, I mean, loads of British people do that too.
Yeah.
Austrian, like everyone does that kind of Thailand month adventure through the islands and then up to north, Chiang Mai. So I did 1 month in Thailand, and then I did about 2 weeks, or no, about 3 weeks in Cambodia. And then I did about 2-3 weeks in Vietnam as well. And then I flew back to Thailand, and then I went back to Cambodia. It was a bit messy, but
Okay.
Southeast Asia, it's just because it's so cheap to travel there for people like me that were on a budget, and it's beautiful, it's warm, there's loads of party life, and I don't know, young people love that, I think. And yeah.
Yeah.
So
A lot of old people like that too, but
yeah,
I mean,
true.
certainly in Austria, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah. There's loads of old Germans and Austrians that go to Thailand to find like a Wi-Fi. I don't know. I
I
mean,
think there's a lot of British that do that too, but
yeah, true. Actually, everyone. I'm judging a bit saying that, but I've seen a couple. Anyway, sorry.
no, it's a popular place, isn't it? Certainly for people who are going on their gap year. But yeah, so you met your girlfriend when you were out on your travels.
Yep.
Where was it that you met? Was it in Thailand?
No, Cambodia. So we met we were staying in a hostel called 88 Backpackers,
Hmm.
and this place was the craziest place ever. Like, you could, like, Cambodia is crazy because you can just pay the policeman, or that you just pay to not have to like, they sold weed behind the bar, for example. and we asked them, like, is that allowed? Like, surely you go to jail or get killed or something.
Oh God.
You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy in those
Yeah.
countries, especially Bali. And they're like, no, we just pay the police, and they don't check us anymore. And so they're just selling these happy cigarettes. They're always called happy cigarettes behind the bar. And then there's these, like, I met an African guy working there, a guy from like Latvia or Estonia or something,
Hmm.
Malaysian girl. And I became friends with this group of people that worked there, like worked at the hostel. And I was there for a few nights, and just it was so crazy. And then eventually Maria, my girlfriend, also checked in, and we had a night playing beer pong together and walking the streets of Cambodia, which was a bit crazy. And yeah, that's how we met. We met over a game of beer pong.
Oh, the romance.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Still,
though.
better
Yeah.
story than Tinder, hey?
Yeah, thank you. And now we play beer pong every night. No, just kidding. No.
Is that a date night for you guys?
Yeah.
Just a weekly beer pong.
Yeah.
So originally when you went traveling, you went with your friend, is that right?
Yeah. So we'd agreed on one-way flights, and we were like,
Mhm.
dude, bro, we're gonna go to Asia. We're not coming back. We're gonna make YouTube vlogs, and we're just gonna grind and grind. It's so cringe. And just before we left New Zealand, he had met a girl,
Okay.
and she was, yeah, they've messaged every day and blah blah blah. And it's like, I totally get him. He was just obviously, like, I guess, wrong time, right time. I don't know what you want to call it, but yeah, he met this girl, and he missed her, and he wanted to go back to New Zealand. So he abandoned me and our vlogging dreams, and we separated. And then it was a bit awkward for a couple of years, I think, but it's pretty chill now.
Over it now.
Yeah.
You've done well. You've done well.
Yeah.
You've done well with your vlogging.
Oh, man.
So that was probably a bit of a challenge while you were out there. Had you met Maria at that point?
No. I met Maria after he told me he's leaving.
Okay.
So he said, I'm going home. And then for a couple days later, I met Maria. And then the crazy thing is Maria was also traveling with a friend. And Maria's friend had met a Swedish guy. So the Swedish guy had basically wanted Maria's friend to join him. So it's two groups of two.
Yeah.
And they're both being pulled apart by potential relationships. Anyway, it was a bit crazy and stuff, but yeah.
But it worked out well in the end.
Yeah. It did. I
Awesome.
love Austria.
Yeah.
I think it's great here.
It is great here. But yeah, we'll get onto that. But yeah, so with your traveling, you stayed with Maria doing a bit more traveling for a couple of weeks after that. Is that right?
Yeah. We traveled through Vietnam for 2 weeks on motorbikes, staying in hostels and stuff. Yeah.
And had you and your friend started doing some vlogging at that point?
Yeah. We made vlogs for like a month. I think that they may be. I took them all off YouTube because it's just so cringe. But like for about, I think there's about 4 or 5 episodes that we put up, 4 or 5 vlogs of just us like eating Thai food and partying and oh man, just like really cringy stuff.
It was awesome. It shows that straight away you kind of knew the path you wanted to go down, right?
Yeah, it's a weird thing because like in the end, I ended up doing still something with video, but it was just slightly different, and it
Yeah.
really like it sort of reminds me or tells me that I'm proud that I just kept trying stuff
Mm-hmm.
because it's easy to just we put up those vlogs and there was no responses obviously, and you should never expect to like I don't know win on 1 year. You should always just keep consistent and do it for like 10 years, and then if after 10 years it's still not working, then maybe you should I don't know change or whatever you do, just keep kind of doing something, and that's something I learned.
Yeah, I understand how I feel actually because before I started podcasting, so I had this idea in COVID to start new things, and I actually originally started by creating a blog and writing. So before I even had the idea to do a podcast, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a writer and I'm gonna write all this stuff and yeah, your friends will read it and like you might get it out there a little bit, but it wasn't really going anywhere. And I was like, well, I am enjoying it, but I could probably get out, more information if I do a podcast. So I taught myself how to do that. But I kind of don't see that kind of cringy blog phase of my life as like it's not so much a failure or anything. It's just like a lesson in, yeah, it brings you to the next step. And it also kind of showed me, and I'm sure it showed you, that you can put yourself out there and you kind of build up that confidence to do other things.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly
Yeah.
what you just said is what I wanted to say. You just said it 10 times better.
No, I don't think so.
But it's so true though.
That's it. It's like that's one piece of advice that I would say to anyone out there actually is if you are thinking of doing something and it might seem cringe when you first do it,
Yeah.
just bloody do it anyway.
Yeah, it will be cringe. Yeah. You're going to look back at it and you're going to be like, oh, what was I thinking? but it's just like the necessary thing to do. Like you can never get past that stage. You can't skip it. You have to just like I sometimes look at the first comedy skits I made. I mean, we'll probably get to the skits and stuff, but for people listening, I make like these Austrian comedy skits like about Austrian culture. And I look at the first videos I made and they're so cringe. I'm like, why did I even post that? And even now they're still cringe. I'm going to look at the videos that I make today now in like a year's time. And I'm like, oh, no.
I know.
So,
I can't even go back and listen to my first podcast. I just can't do it. Because I know I was just trying to be too like get my words right and like ask the right questions and blah blah blah. And I still try to do that. Don't get me wrong. But in the beginning, you're just so clueless. You're like, oh, I can't do it. I can't go back and listen to it.
Yeah, and it's scary. It's not a natural thing to have a microphone in front of you and to record a conversation. Like everyone that has an idea to start a podcast thinks, yeah, it'll be so cool. We can just basically record our conversations. But then you do your first episode and you're like, that was so much harder than I
Mhm.
thought, because this is a chunk of metal recording everything I say in front of me, and everyone else is nervous and I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh, it's such a weird thing. You're right. So, yeah, back to your travel journey. So you met Maria and you traveled around with Maria for a bit, and then you guys got separated. Is that right?
yes. Yeah. So, oh man. Maria had to go back to Austria before I did.
Mhm.
So she flew back to Austria, and then I flew to Cambodia, and I spent 2, 3, 4 nights, maybe a week with this other person I'd met. It's actually a really bad story. I'd met a girl before I met Maria, and because I didn't expect to fall in love with Maria, I said to this girl, obviously, like at the start when we met, she was this Australian girl. I said to her, like, yeah, I'll come back and like hang out with you in Cambodia after we do Vietnam. But I didn't tell Maria this, and this is such a complicated story. But I ended up leaving Maria after 2 weeks, going to
Mhm.
hang out with this other girl, which sounds horrible. And then the first night, I knew, I was like, I can't hang out with her. This feels so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, because for Maria too, like Maria didn't know that I was going to go see her, and I told Maria that I was going to go see my friends in Cambodia,
Mhm.
which is true. I just was also seeing this other person. Anyway, it's all because I didn't expect Maria and I to almost start a relationship, and it's so strange. But anyway, the first night or 2 nights with this girl, I was like, I can't. I gotta leave. And then I just booked a flight and flew to Thailand. And in Thailand, I met another friend who was a friend from New Zealand, and then we traveled for 2 weeks together, and that was super super fun. And after the 2 weeks, like the whole time with him in Thailand, I was messaging Maria and just like wanting to go visit her and stuff. So it kind of just ruined my whole vibe. It ruined his. He probably wanted to go and just be single young lads and blah blah blah. But I was like, dude, I don't know, I want to go to Austria. And he was like, yeah, I'm out of money anyway. So we ended up splitting again, and then I flew to Austria. Yeah,
Cool.
crazy. I've never spoken this much about this whole story on a recorded conversation. So yeah. What do you think? Do you think that's like a
I
douchebag
think it's
thing to do?
honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's honest, and I think, yeah, you knew that you wanted to be with Maria, so you did the right thing.
Yeah, it's crazy because Maria's the first ever relationship I've ever had.
Mhm.
So I've never ever I'm at the age of 21 or whatever. I was 21 when I met her. She's the first ever girl that I'd actually had a relationship with. And it makes it even more kind of special, I think, because I don't know, I flew to Austria to see this girl I'd met for 2 weeks. And then she ends up being like my first ever relationship. And it's great. Like we are very good together, I think, and very happy. And yeah, we play
Yeah, it's
beer pong every
awesome.
no, I'm just kidding.
Weekly beer pong date nights. Yeah. So you went to Austria. Was it just to visit Maria then after your travels? Was that the idea initially, is that you were going to go and visit her and figure it out, or did you know straight away you're like, I am moving to Austria and this is happening?
They originally said I'd stay like 2 weeks.
Okay.
Obviously, Maria's family don't want some random New Zealander living in their house. Like Opa lives here, grandpa, the mum, the dad, and Maria. So there's a sort of like a mini family thing, and then there's just
Mhm.
Johnny. There's this New Zealand guy, right? And then Maria checked. She's like, "Is my friend from New Zealand allowed to stay with us?" The parents said, "Oh yeah, how long?" And Maria was like, "Yeah, like 1-2 weeks maybe." And I showed up, and I stayed one night. The next day, Maria went to work, and I just was at home in this house. And then I stayed 2 nights, and then I stayed 3 nights. It's like they have a farm too, so it's like all full on. It's so crazy. They wake up every day at 5:30, milk the cows every day, 365 days.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I was there, and long story short, I eventually became very good friends with my girlfriend's mum.
Oh, cool.
And we'd cook together every day, and I'd help milking the cows and stuff. And eventually I found a job in the city, which is a huge step. That means I can stay here. And then we moved to our first apartment. That was about 3 months after first coming here.
So you stayed slightly longer than 2 weeks at their house?
Yeah. 3 months, yeah.
So straight away when you arrive in the country, you are thrown into Austrian life and needing to learn a bit of the language. I guess it's probably an easier way to learn, because here, if you're speaking to someone and you're trying to speak German to them, they would rather answer you in English to make things quicker. So you're not really thrown in the deep end. But I guess where you were really quite thrown in the deep end.
Yeah, I mean, the first day I came here, Maria's dad comes in, and I was sitting at the table, and he says, I think he forgot that I was visiting. He's like, "Who's this?" And I was like, and then Mum's like, "Oh, this is Jonny from New Zealand." And then he's obviously like, yeah, okay. Aber der kennt Deutsch nicht, oder? Or so, like he doesn't know German, or does he speak German? Or so he said something like that. And then I was just standing there. I didn't understand, obviously. And then they told him, no, he doesn't speak German yet. And then he just said, like, yeah, okay, he's got to learn, right? Like, I'm not speaking English, which I get. I mean, it's his house. Like, I don't.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't, like, he's the nicest guy ever. And it's taken about 2.5 or 3 years before we can talk to each other, because it's not normal. Like, people around here aren't used to speaking English. They never have to use English, and no one comes from places, and like everyone speaks German. It's very, very, if you have, I don't know, an electrician come and they're Italian or whatever, and they're learning German, it's like you have to speak German.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
just sort of the culture that I was put into. So very, very early on, my brain has a switch. Like, when I'm in this house, when I'm with Maria's family, my brain turns off English. Like, I just don't do anything in English. Even sometimes when they, for example, there's a baby just been born 2 years ago, so 2-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I said to the parents, like, the baby is Maria's sister, so my girlfriend's sister's child. And I said to them, do you want me to speak English to the child, because they can learn English better? The kid can. And they were like, yeah, sure. But I still couldn't do it. It just doesn't click in my brain to speak English in this
so cool.
environment. I don't know.
So when you were learning, did you actively learn Hochdeutsch, or were you just learning from Maria and her family, or did you do any kind of extra learning?
Yeah, I learned German in the city at a VFI course. There's like little crash courses for German.
Okay, cool.
I did 2 or 3 of them, and other than that, I just learned from speaking and learned from hearing and everything else, and asking questions. Yeah.
Every place around seems to have a different dialect as well. So if you learn German, it's not necessarily going to be what you're communicating with people.
For sure, absolutely. That's the biggest problem in Austria, I think. Like, like Vorarlberg, they don't even speak. That's just a different language.
Yeah, that's what everyone says about here, about the Zillertal. Yeah, even if you go down the end of the valley, they don't understand it, apparently. And I was like, I feel like I've got not much chance here.
Yeah.
But yeah, just making excuses. I really need to try a lot harder. So yeah, well done for throwing yourself in the deep end and kind of getting it done, because it's very impressive. And it has led you on to what you're doing now as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I would say just like, don't feel bad though, because I also think it's fine if it depends if you really want to learn German, or if you just don't beat yourself up. I think it's so hard.
Yeah.
It's such a stupid language. I mean, people are going to hate that I said that, but for us it is. I mean, it makes sense. Like, when you learn it by the book, it makes fully sense. Like, there is nothing that you're like, if you learn it properly,
Yeah.
But for English speakers, it's like, oh, it's just so exhausting. I don't even
Mhm.
say dear das, I just guess. So that's half. It's half of the language. No,
So how long was it before you realised you were gonna stay in Austria? Or was it just after those kind of 2 weeks you were like, I'm not going anywhere?
there was never a moment where I decided, now I'm staying. It was always just one thing led to the next. Oh, what? I got a job. Oh, okay. Oh, we got an apartment. Oh, okay. I got friends now. Oh, I got friends. Okay. And then, oh, I'm joining this club. Oh, okay. So I never decided to stay. I just woke up every day and just, as long as I'm happy, then don't change anything,
Yeah.
And I was never, I don't know, I was never sort of like just thinking of leaving.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what job were you doing?
I was doing online marketing, brand
Mhm.
management for
Okay.
gaming company.
So something quite in line with the business side of things, would you say, from your uni days, or a little bit
Yeah,
different?
that's what got me the job. My university degree got me the job.
Mhm.
But yeah, I quit that last year. Been
Mhm.
self-employed for a year.
Excellent.
Can I ask you why you came to Austria?
Yeah. So I came to Austria. I started snowboarding, went on a couple of ski holidays with some mates and learnt to snowboard. And then, yeah, I kind of decided after that, I had like a 9 to 5 job in the UK, and I wasn't very happy, let's say. And my housemate at the time had said, "Oh, why don't you apply to do a ski season?" And I was crap at snowboarding as well. I was
Oh,
absolutely
right.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, because I learned to snowboard when I was 27, I think.
Yeah.
So I was a bit later on. So you have that fear and everything. But yeah, I applied for a few jobs and didn't get them. And then this job came to be a holiday rep for a tour operator.
Okay.
They offered me either Seoul or Meyerhofen, and I did a bit of research and realised that Meyerhofen had a music festival here, which they still have every year, called Snowbombing.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, well, that sounds like a cool place. I'm going to go there.
Yeah.
So then I ended up here, and
Sick.
and then, kind of been here on and off ever since. And then Brexit came and the pandemic, and then I stayed. So now I'm a resident for 5 years.
Yeah, nice. Me too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Have you got the Article 50?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
you had to go down the same route?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I ended up here. And yeah, I don't know. Have you ever been spent much time in a ski resort here, or do you ski or snowboard?
I ski. I can ski. I'm not very good at it. I don't love it. I like the energy around it.
Mhm.
In Austria, I still have never had like a really sort of typical Austrian ski adventure. Like, I don't know, skiing and then going in the Hütte or like the Skiapri or whatever it's called,
Yeah,
and drinking some schnapps and then like staying in the hut and then skiing the next day. Like, I'd
yeah,
love to try that.
definitely. You should come over here. Come over here for a ski day. We'll
Yeah.
do some après and get you on the Meisterwurz, the schnapps over here. Have you had a Meisterwurz?
Nah.
Ugh. It's root schnapps.
Really?
It is, yeah. I don't drink actually anymore, but
Okay.
when I did, I would not be drinking that.
I met a guy in Kitzbühel, an Australian guy, and
Mhm.
apparently he quit drinking because he was just smashing. He was just partying way too much,
Mhm.
which I get. I also kind of was. I consider every night. Like, we had a pretty big night on Saturday.
Mhm.
I mean, the older you get, it just like you just can't survive them as much. And I just hate the hangover days. Yeah.
Same. That's kind of why I stopped. Was like the 2 or 3 hours of fun you'd actually have wasn't really worth the 2 or 3 days hangover anymore. But I'm a bit older than you. I'm 39, so the hangovers, the older you
Okay.
get, the longer they last. So yeah. But
You look
yeah,
much
I
younger
think
than
it's
39, though.
oh, thank you. It's probably all the schnapps I drank in my 30s. But I was listening to, so you also have a podcast, and I listened to one when you returned back to New Zealand. You interviewed your mate Tim, and he said you don't like hiking, or you said you don't like hiking. Is that
No, I don't really like hiking. Nah, I don't know.
You don't call it hiking either, do you? If you're from New Zealand.
No, what do you call it? Tramping? Tramping, yeah.
Tramping.
You call it tramping. I don't know. Man, okay. There's I think hiking's for the most of hiking is for a reason, and that reason is fitness. So I think, okay, I could do fitness without having to climb a hill. I don't know, it sounds dumb because it's so stupid, but I was like, I can do push-ups outside, I can go for a run, I can da. I just don't get that rush that people get from hiking. I don't know.
Yeah, fair play. So you're not a skier, not much of a hiker, do a bit of skiing.
I like skiing. Yeah, it's okay. The problem with skiing is it's so expensive. I just can't afford it.
That's true.
But
That's true.
yeah, I don't know. Like I feel bad. I feel bad now.
Yeah, I am judging you a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
I would too.
I think the good thing about hiking, I guess, and snow sports is that you get the fitness, but you get the reward at the end of it, where you get to stand at the top of a mountain and see a beautiful view. And I think that for me is the draw, because, yeah, you're right. Hiking is a lot of energy,
Yeah,
it's like hard work, especially in the sun. But yeah,
I mean,
can understand that.
I think I'm gonna hit like 32 and years old, and then I'm gonna suddenly like it.
Yeah,
Something like that was gonna happen.
yeah. To be fair, that's pretty much what happened to me. Actually, no, COVID happened. COVID happened, and that's when I started hiking.
Okay.
There was nothing else to do. We were allowed to walk, and that was it. So it's like, oh, I'll hike up here. That'll be something I can do today. I'll go to the supermarket, and then I'll hike.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then you're like, oh, and that is actually when I started listening to podcasts as well. So
good old COVID.
Yeah. So yeah, speaking of which, what was your pandemic experience? Where were you at that time?
I was still working in this marketing company.
So you were in Austria.
Yeah, I was in Austria. Yeah, it was a blur. We just worked from home. I worked from home the whole time, and I started. I think COVID allowed me to make videos, because when you work from home, you save a lot of time biking to work, or you don't have to drive or whatever to get somewhere. So you can clock into work earlier, you can finish earlier, and then you can, boom, just start making social media videos and stuff. You can do podcasts at better times. You can this. So yeah, COVID for me was a blur, but it also started my social media path, I think.
Yeah, tell us a bit about that. How did that all come about?
So I did a podcast in 2019, I think. That's when it started, with this Australian guy. This Australian guy and myself, we spoke about our stories of traveling, and also of us living in Austria, and how we're both horrible at German and this. And we did that for maybe 6 months, and then he didn't have time. So I was a bit sad. So I thought, I want to keep doing it. I want to keep doing something. And then I started making videos. But me and this Australian guy made like the first 6 videos together or something. So we had this podcast, we had these videos, and then didn't work out. Like, it didn't have too much time. And then I just started making videos myself. And I had this idea for a video, which is me in the bike lane in Austria. So this New Zealander standing in the bike lane, and the bike has come past. And when in Austria or Europe, probably, when you walk in the bike lane, you're just going to get yelled at by bikers. Yeah. And that's fair enough. And so I thought that's hilarious, because New Zealand doesn't really exist like that. And I called up my friend who owned a bike shop, and we recorded the video, and I posted it, and then it got probably 50,000 views overnight or something on TikTok. Wow. Cool. Which is, at that time, was huge for me, because I was that's the first ever video that I did alone.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's a lot. And then I did another few videos, and I'd be getting more views, 500,000 views or something, more views. And then I immediately had way too much confidence in myself. I was like, yeah, I can make so many funny videos. And I just kept going. And it got to the point where Instagram also started growing. And then, TikTok. Yeah, and now I just do that.
So you a while ago started making skits about learning German and your experiences in Austria to date, basically.
Yeah.
I was speaking to my friend yesterday, actually, who is she's a local, but her English is absolutely fantastic. Shout out Valentina, by the way. She said it is so funny from both sides. So like, obviously with the English, I get your experiences as a foreigner in Austria and absolutely love it. And she was like, but yeah, he does these like where he's going through what typical Austrians do. Like, and she sent me the one with putting the cheese on your leg and the onions and like the home remedies. She was like, it's so true. And the schnapps, like when the kid's sick. And
Yeah.
she was like, it's absolutely true. Like all of it.
Yeah, but it's I don't know. It makes me so happy to see people like the videos because it's just how it is. Like I've just like it's so true
it's
for
like
me.
Super relatable. How do you come up with those ideas? Are they all things that have happened to you, or do you just sometimes kind of wing it?
Yeah, I think there's a it sounds weird, but I think there's a level of my brain that works when it comes to putting conversation. I can build a conversation quite easily in my head. That helps with bringing the idea to life. So when I think most of us, most foreigners actually are the same. Like you'll see Austrians eating Jause every day, or in this part of the country you will, or you'll see an Austrian build a house and they have all of their friends there, and you'll like, for me, I see my, I guess, brother-in-law building his house, and there's 6 random of his friends just like all helping out.
Yeah.
And I look at it and I'm like, that's kind of weird. And then that's the first stage.
Yeah.
And then I think of how can this be used to make people laugh, because obviously like, I mean, there's a relatability factor, but then you kind of have to make it entertaining. And I've just sort of like been listening to so much Austrian these days that it just I can just picture how people would react and what they'd say when this happens. And that is so weird, but
no, it's awesome. I love the creativity part of it. And like, how long did it take you to make a reel?
It depends, I guess, between 6 to 8 hours total. It could be like 2 hours if it's super simple.
Yeah.
But editing, I'd do it in like an hour, maybe, and filming also like an hour. And so there's super, super simple videos that I can film in this room, for example. I'd do in like 2.5, 2 hours. Yeah.
Do you do it all by yourself?
80% of videos. Yeah.
Cool.
Just with a camera stand.
And so your following has built up massively. How many followers? Like 220,000 or somewhere around that? It's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah. A few.
Very well done. So are you now... Have you now built a business on top of that, or kind of what are you doing now?
I make money right now only from collaborations. So, for example, if I work with a company to do a classic, whatever it is, influencer collaboration where I will make a video, for example, for a beer company or for Salzburg Verkehr, or like different companies say, we want to promote this. Can you make a video around it? And then I'll create a video and they'll pay me just one fixed rate. But I do want to do other stuff. I'd love to. Eventually, I think it could be really cool to kind of start an agency type thing, because I think that there's some value that I could give companies when it comes to creating social media content, but I'm not there yet. Like I'm slowly building all of this knowledge of how to make a viral video or something, right? And then eventually I'd love to work with brands and stuff to help them create their own content, or hopefully viral content and stuff. So yeah.
Awesome.
I don't know. It sounds a bit weird, but
no, it sounds great. Always good to have kind of goals to work towards. And it's great that you've already got those kind of ideas of where you want to go. So whereas, a lot of people don't, myself included. So it's kind of like, working towards things. And I think it's awesome what you've done so far. And it's obviously continually kind of building, and you've now got a podcast. So tell us about how the podcast came about. So it's called Austrian Kiwi.
Yeah, Austrian Kiwi podcast, Austrian Kiwi, yeah. But that was it was there since the start. Originally, it was Winging It podcast, and Winging It, like, if there's a German person listening, Austrian person, another word might be durchwurschteln, like durchwurschteln. Do you know what that means?
No.
Like to sausage your way through, kind of.
Okay.
So it's like, you know what Winging It means, right?
Yeah.
So winging it's just doing something without preparation, kind of. You just don't know what you're doing, but you try it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was that first podcast, just like two guys, an Australian and New Zealander, having no clue what they're doing in Austria, but they're just trying to do it. Eventually that grew into the Austrian Kiwi podcast, where I kind of interviewed people in English, and now that's eventually just I'm hoping like 90% German
Mhm.
and 10% English, and it's just like stories of me in Austria and other content creators, and interviewing people that also make videos, or so
Awesome. So you've just recently been back to New Zealand. That's where you recorded your podcast with Tim,
Yeah.
your friend, right?
6 months in New Zealand. Yeah.
And was that first time Maria had been to New Zealand?
The second time. She went just before
Okay.
COVID.
Okay.
So yeah, second time. She was there for about 4 months, and we traveled through New Zealand together and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. And so you went back for 6 months. Was that just to sort of catch up with family and things like that, and get a few podcasts done over there, or?
No, there's no work kind of stuff related. I just needed to go home and be with my family because it was so long. I didn't see
Mhm.
mum and dad for 3 years, and
Yeah.
it was so hard to get there. So I went home for Christmas and just spent like time with them, and I made some videos and stuff, but it was mostly just to see family.
Yeah, I had a similar situation where I hadn't been back since before the pandemic. I think it was February 2020 that I went back, and I've just been back to the UK for a week in May. So yeah, it was quite a long time. When you go that long, you definitely, when you get there as well, it's more so like, wow, why did I leave it this
Yeah.
long? Like, how did this happen? But yeah, had much change when you went back?
Yeah, this is what I want to ask you. Like, yes and no. Like, in the first 2 days, you're back into how things were when you were there, I think. But it's just I was disappointed, to be honest. I like Austria more than New Zealand right now. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And New Zealand is great, but I don't know. I remember it being better than it was when I went. I just, like, the weather in New Zealand was quite confusing, because I was always wanting to go fishing, and then the rain or wind, the changes in like a day. It's going to be like a thunderstorm, and then the next day it's sun, and then the next day it's a thunderstorm. So yeah, I guess nothing changed going back home.
Yeah.
Everything's the same, but I just, I don't know. What about you? When you went back, how did you feel?
It was weird. It was really weird because I kind of always had, I don't want to say a negative view on the UK, but I knew when I was there that I didn't love it. You know, I didn't love my situation, where I lived, what I was doing and whatever. But actually, when I went back after all this time, I really enjoyed being back. Now, that's not to say I would move back, because I don't think I will ever move back to the UK. But yeah, I really appreciated it more when I went back. And I think maybe it's just because it's been so long and I wasn't there for very long.
Yeah.
I was only there for a week, and so had to rush around and see everyone and all the rest of it. But yeah, it was, I did have a different appreciation for the country, because I live in the countryside, so in the southwest, sort of Somerset, Dorset border. And I did have a bit of an appreciation for the countryside, and just absolutely lovely to see family and friends. And but nothing changes. You're like, nothing changes really.
Yeah.
And I actually found it super interesting what you said on one of your podcasts. I think it was the one, I think you were in New Zealand, but it was certainly about that. How you described it's kind of like being different characters in a video game.
Yeah. This is the best explanation ever for when people ask, like, oh, what's it like living in Austria? It's like, okay, imagine you have 2 USBs, right? And a computer. And one USB has GTA 6. Does that even exist? GTA is on one USB.
I have no idea.
Grand Theft Auto, right? And the other one has like Modern Warfare. Is that a game? I think. So 2 different games, right? And then being in New Zealand is like plugging in the GTA, like, just examples. And you're just in this different reality, right? Like you're playing this game, blah, 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 like everything is slightly different and da-da-da. And then you pull it out and you plug in the other. Like, it's two completely different realities.
Yeah.
Honestly, like when I go to New Zealand, I'm a different person. I swear I'm a different person because the language is different. The shops are different. You don't have the habits that you have here. You drive on the opposite side of the road. It's like everything's slightly just a different reality. Like, it's so crazy. And it's crazy as well how fast you adapt to both games. Like, whatever game you play, you're like, oh, sweet, we're on GTA now. Let's go. We're in. And then when you're playing Modern Warfare, you're like, okay, sweet, I'm playing this now. And then you just snap back in. So it's super, super weird like that.
Yeah. I love that analogy. And it kind of reminded me of another analogy. Like, it's a bit different again, but it's about when you have a friend come to visit. And this was an analogy that another Kiwi friend of mine had actually told me years and years and years ago, because I think she had someone from home come and visit her over in Austria. And you have like this bubble of people that are your community. But she said it's like having a character from a book. So a character from Harry Potter going into Twilight.
Interesting.
It's like, it's just different.
I've never had anyone visit me yet. It's actually quite sad, but
it's a long way. It's a long way for you, to be fair.
Yeah, still, it's a bit disappointing, friends.
Come on, Tim.
Yeah, Tim. Nah, but I can imagine that being true.
Yeah,
that's a very good analogy.
But yeah, it reminded me of that when I listened to your podcast and you said about the video game.
Yeah,
really interesting. But that was another question I was going to ask you actually about speaking the language. Do you dream in German?
Nah, I don't remember my dreams much, but I don't think so. Like, I can't think right now of a dream I had in German.
Yeah.
But
that blows my mind that you could, like, because I've got friends here who obviously speak multiple languages and they say, oh yeah, I had a dream in this language the other night. I'm like,
really?
That is crazy. I wish I could do that. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's a bit, yeah. Although my Australian friend that lived here, he said he did. But whenever he dreamed in German, he spoke perfect German.
Wow.
Then he woke up and he was real frustrated because he couldn't speak German. So I guess he tricked his brain to think he could speak proper German, but anyway.
Super cool. Awesome. So I'm going to move on to some of the questions that I kind of ask everyone. I've kind of changed them a little bit because normally obviously I speak to Seasonaires. So I've changed them a little bit so it's like travel journey questions and stuff.
What is a Seasonaire? Sorry, can I ask that?
A Seasonaire? Yeah. So a Seasonaire is someone who lives and works seasonally anywhere, but tends to be like abroad. So people who do ski seasons or summer seasons, they're Seasonaires.
Sweet. Okay, I've never heard that.
I probably should have explained that on a very much so earlier podcast.
Yeah.
Just a quick interruption to give a shout out to show supporters Palm & Pine Skincare, the award-winning sunscreen brand for the everyday athlete. So if it's all right with you, I will run through a few questions. Yeah. What's the best place you've ever visited and why?
Probably the PP Islands in Thailand because it's just very relaxed. It's warm, beautiful beaches, tasty food, awesome accommodation, and I just have good memories from it. Awesome.
Can you tell us about a challenge or difficulty you faced during your travels and what did you learn from it?
That's a good question. I think you just like the biggest challenge, or you just you when you're in your bubble at home and you're working Monday to Friday and you spend your weekend with your friends, you are connected to a smaller group of people and you become like your friends and your friends become like you. And so when you travel, you are very far away from that small group of people and everyone you meet is completely different. So you're not surrounded by the same group of people all the time. So you learn to adapt and understand how different people think and feel. And yeah.
What's one thing you wish you'd known before going traveling?
One thing I'd wish I'd known before going traveling. I think for me, I would tell myself, my earlier self, that I thrive off productivity, I thrive off productivity and being in a constant travel state won't bring me happiness. So I like when I have my perfect happy day, when I have a perfect day and I'm happy and I go to bed feeling good and life's good, it's when I've spent the whole day being productive. And right now, like for example, doing a podcast, then making a video, eating a diet, going for a run, and then having dinner, for example, would be like quite a productive day, and that makes me happy. And I used to think what makes me happy is traveling, but traveling is a means to an end. Like you will always, you unless you can work and travel, maybe, which I can't and I don't want to. Traveling won't make you happy. It's just like delaying kind of the inevitable of finding a purpose in life, you know? I think there's a lot of people out there that just like travel like the wind, and they just go from job to job but they never really get their feet stuck into something that they can grow and build. So I tell myself that.
Yeah, no, I think traveling comes with a lot of benefits. Like, you do learn a lot about yourself from traveling.
Yeah.
But so it's always a good thing to do. But yeah, having a sense of purpose, and I'm the same. Like, it's something that I never really knew until I started, doing the blog and then the podcast, and had some time to kind of actually do some stuff just for the sake of doing it for myself and try new things. It's like, when you get things done, you get like a buzz from it, don't you? You're like, wow, like I really smashed the day with that.
Yeah,
like,
that's exactly it. And I
totally
never
get
ever
that.
got that when I was traveling. I was always thinking, oh, what can I do now? This is boring. Well, that's what's happened in the last 6 months of traveling.
Throughout your travels, which place feels most like home to you?
I mean, sounds a bit cringy,
Mm-hmm.
but where my girlfriend is I'm pretty happy always.
Oh,
Like, I don't know, you're just having that partner that you guys can just do things together, and it just brings so much more purpose and makes me feel more at home. So right now in Austria, I'm pretty happy at home. If we were both in New Zealand, I'd probably be happy there too. But yeah, right now in Austria, like here, because Maria's here as well. And
yeah, nice.
What about you?
I think Austria feels most like home than anywhere. I was having this conversation with my mate yesterday, actually, and I was like, is it home forever? Like, I don't speak the language properly still, but it does feel like, it does feel like Austria. I worked between Italy and Austria for 4 years before the pandemic, and Italy did feel a lot like home, and I did have a really nice community there. And I think that's a massive thing, is like when you have a community somewhere, that kind of makes it feel more like home. And here is probably where I have the closest community, which comes with its positives and negatives. It can come with some negatives from time to time, but yeah, I do feel like Austria, Meyerhofen is home. So just need to work on those language skills, so I can. Maybe people could be saying anything about me, and I'm just there like, yeah, get out.
Yeah, I want to make a video on that. Like, that's an idea I've had for a while.
Yeah. So when you are away, what do you miss most about your home country?
Fishing, and
Cool.
my dad and my mum and my sister, my sister's husband. And I just miss going out to dinner to a Thai restaurant with my mum and my dad and my sister and my sister's husband, and just having a glass of wine and just talking about things.
Yeah, that's nice. That's good. Sometimes I get things like crisps and biscuits, so that was much
crisps and biscuits.
Much more wholesome answer.
Yeah, you can find chips and biscuits everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, not as many varieties here in Austria.
Yeah, true.
They really need to up their crisp game. I mean, paprika and salt and sour cream and onion.
True. Salt and vinegar
I'm over it.
Is my favorite.
Salt and vinegar?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Kellys salt and vinegar. Or the kettle chips.
I like, no, those, what you mean in Austria, the salt and vinegar Kelly's ones. Yeah, they're okay, but they're better at home in New Zealand. Funny.
Yeah, Austria, up your crisp game and your KFC game. Okay, if you, we've kind of already done this one, but I'll read it anyway. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
If I could give my younger self some advice, I would say that it's just like it's going to be okay.
Mhm.
Because you don't have it figured out, it's fine. Like, that's good. No one, you never want to be completely satisfied. I think you need this fear of missing out or this fear of not being good enough to motivate you and make you a better person. And I was always so hard on myself. Oh, you have to do better. You this. Like, that's what at the start of this podcast I said, creativity is up and down on days. Right now it's middle. Like, I'm not feeling that creative. And I just beat myself up so much. But you are never going to always, like, it's just stop being so hard on yourself, I think.
So on the topic of advice, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received, and what's the worst piece of advice you've ever received?
The best piece of advice? It's a weird advice, but I was drinking with my friend one time, and we went around the circle and we said one good thing about each other and one thing that we should improve on.
Okay.
And this sort of is similar to my previous answer, but someone said to me, like, I don't think you understand how talented you are or how good you are at what you're doing, and you should just believe in yourself. Mm-hmm. And since that day, I really thought about what they said, because I always doubt myself. And they say to me, like, you shouldn't, why do you doubt yourself so much? Just do it, You're great. You're fantastic. You're doing a great job. And I thought about that, and I was like, that's pretty good advice.
Yeah.
What was the other question? What was the other part of it?
And it was, what's the worst piece of advice you've ever received?
Yeah, probably just like people telling me video ideas. They're saying, like,
oh yeah,
you should make a video about this. And I'm like, oh, that's a really good idea. And then I just delete it from my brain. Nah.
Yeah, I've had that as well. People like to tell you what a really good content idea. Don't they? You should interview this guy, and you shouldn't interview that guy. It's like, yeah, no. Sometimes they do have good ideas, also, right?
Yeah, for sure. You need to listen, but
yeah,
no one knows your kind of thing better than you do, I think.
100%. Do you have any quotes or sayings that you live by?
Oh, you want to hear one? I made this one up the other day.
Hell yeah. You made it up?
Yeah.
I love it.
And hold on, I have to translate it from ChatGPT because
Did you make it or did AI make it?
No, I made it, but I used so it's in German. I can read it in German if you want, but okay. I can tell you the story behind it because I was eating raspberries the other day in the bush outside. And okay, let me read the quote. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
If you always look at the strawberry bush from the same perspective, you only see a few a few berries. If you look at the strawberry bush from different perspectives, you see all of the fruit.
I mean,
what do you think?
It's not wrong.
I think that's really sick. I was looking at the raspberry bushes, and I was thinking, like, man, when you look from here, I just see like 4 berries. I keep saying fruit. And when you like turn your head and you like go under the bush, and then you can see so much more fruit. And I thought this is a life lesson for everyone. Just got to look at the bush a bit different. I mean, okay, you don't have to like it.
I like it.
It's okay.
No, and I get it. Different perspectives, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a great quote.
Thank you very much.
And I hope it takes off. I support it.
Yeah,
I like it.
I'm going to say that one on my podcast next episode.
Yeah. Do you want to say it in German for our Austrian listeners?
Yeah, I can try. Wenn du den this is saying strawberries. I was looking, okay, raspberry, strawberries, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Wenn du den Erdbeerstrauch immer aus demselben Blickwinkel. Okay, maybe I shouldn't read this because I can't speak German properly. Yeah, next bast. I can't. I'm gonna read it, and it's like a 6-year-old kid reading like from a shopping list. Like, yeah.
Listen, it would be far better than mine, but I do appreciate the quote. I think it's Perfect. It's great. I like
Thank
that you
you.
made your own one up. You didn't just go
Yes.
to someone else's, did you?
I'm very original, okay?
Yeah, you
What
are.
other guests use other people's quotes?
And, like, no one has made their own.
Thank
There
you.
you go.
Thank you very much.
I'm impressed, Jonny. Well done. Good work. Right. Where were we? Do you have any books, movies, podcasts, or publications which you can recommend to our listeners that helped you on your journey? Or can you name something which has inspired you recently?
Yes, 100%. Everybody should follow and listen to the Inspired Unemployed. I mean, they're Australians. It's the Inspired Unemployed. Just search that. You'll find all of their stuff.
Yeah, I know who they are, actually. I think my friend did some filming with them.
Oh, really?
Kiwi snowboarder, Roland Morley Brown. Yeah. But yeah, tell us a bit more about it.
Oh, man. These guys, they're originally like about to start being tradies, but they didn't want to accept the reality of that for the rest of their life. So they started making funny videos. And they are the reason that me and my friends started making funny videos.
Really? Oh, cool.
And everything they do is just like really, really well made and also very smart business wise. And I just think they're super, super nice guys. And I don't know, I love their stuff. So their podcast is super funny and their videos are super, super relatable. And their filming and editing and everything's so cool. And yeah, so that's my inspiration for. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. As I said, my friend Roland Morley Brown, he was actually on my podcast in the first season, but he did some filming with them snowboarding.
Okay.
So yeah, pretty cool.
In Austria or?
I think it was in New Zealand.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
Sick. Like they're actually in Europe now, I think.
Oh, cool.
And like I was so close to sending them a voice message saying like, just like letting them know if they ever wanted to come to Austria, that I'd be happy to help show them cool things to do and this and that. But then like, it's super like, it's super funny because I opened my Instagram to message them and I'd forgotten that I'd sent them a message like 2 years ago when my account had like maybe 2,000, 3,000 followers. And I read the message and it's like, hey lads, love your stuff, huge fan. And then I asked them a question for their podcast because they're answering questions on their podcast. And I was reading it, I was like, oh, this is a little bit cute that I was like a younger version of me just like speaking to my inspiration.
That's so cool.
Lads, yeah, whatever.
Did they reply?
I didn't. No, they didn't reply. And I didn't message them inviting them to Austria or whatever, but
why didn't you message them?
Because I got nervous.
Because you didn't want them to see that old message.
Yes.
Just go delete for everyone. It will disappear like it never happened. Start again.
Oh, that's such a Can you do that though? Can you delete me? Like I know it's technically possible, but like mentally, I'll always know that I deleted that. Yeah. Part of me is like,
all right, then just message them from your podcast account. There you go.
Yeah, but I think like because I have that blue check on Instagram, I feel like that might like boost or like they might be more likely to open the message.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever.
Johnny, do it. Come on, step out your comfort zone. Yeah. Own that message.
One day. Nah,
you
I don't
can
know.
Do it. Yeah, get them over here. Get them over here in winter. And then you guys can come to Meyerhofen, see my friend Roly. We'll all go for a little ski.
What a dream.
Yeah.
I'd be in for that.
Yeah,
I'd pay money for that.
Yeah, let's do that. So what's one myth about traveling that you would like to debunk?
Instagram destroys, like Instagram and TikTok and whatever social media you're using is going to show your travel location 600 times crazier and cooler and better than it actually is. And I don't know if that's a reason people start traveling, but it's just something that like you should just remember. Like don't go somewhere or don't do something just because you see a picture on Instagram and it looks amazing or blah blah blah, because you'll probably go there and it's just gonna be filled with tourists and it's gonna be like mosquitoes and it's going to smell bad. You're going to be sweating, and you didn't eat lunch, so you're going to be hungry. And then you just got to realize, like, the picture on Instagram is the best of the best, and when you go there, it's like a bit different.
It's so true. Everything's like very cinematic
Yeah,
on Instagram. Everything's looking amazing. Probably got a really cool tune in the background.
yeah.
Now I have to ask you my mum's favourite question.
Okay.
Mark Lender. What's one thing you take with you everywhere when you travel, or do you have any travel hacks, or both?
Yeah, I always take my speaker.
Mhm.
I have a Yui boom, and it's very practical because you're always spontaneously, oh, let's have a beer on the beach or whatever, and then you can just sit there and you can play music and really vibe out and get people together. And if you play music, people might join you, and then they're gonna, I don't know, it just levels up the vibe
Mhm.
by a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Take a speaker with you, I think.
And any travel hacks?
A hack that I would have would be maybe if you want to speak to someone or if you want to make friends,
Mhm.
then ask them for a pen.
Yeah.
Just ask them for a pen.
Or ask them the time. You could ask them the time.
Yeah, but how do you continue the conversation after that? So what? Let's
Yeah,
practice.
true.
What if I say, "Sorry, do you have the time?"
Yeah, I do. It's what is the time? 3:00.
3:00. Oh, sweet. Thanks. And then what? Like,
Then you could be like, I had a watch once.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Nah, just cool. Do you?
Where's your phone? You know the time. Yeah, no, you're right. Watch is
Nah,
not a good idea.
that's
Pen,
good.
pen, perhaps.
Or like
Yeah.
the most common ones, it's like, where are you guys from? Or where are you from?
Yeah,
Everyone loves talking about themselves.
true.
Just ask people questions about themselves.
Overall, what's the biggest lesson learned from living abroad?
Oh, from living abroad.
Mm.
I think the biggest thing I learned maybe might be patience and humility. I think that especially when you don't travel or when you don't experience discomfort from travel or living abroad, sorry, then you're less likely to need to be patient and to need to have humility, to be like humble and grounded. Because when I moved here to Austria, I was just like nobody. Like I couldn't even buy a toothbrush from the pharmacy. Like, I mean, I probably could, but you know what I mean. You can't
Yeah.
ask for medication. You don't know what words to say in German. You're freaking out. You want to go to the doctor appointment, but you can't explain why your arm hurts in German, and the doctor doesn't understand, and he gets angry because you don't speak German. And all of this is happening. So you're just starting to slowly like remember, okay, I am starting from nothing. Like I need to learn the language. I need to make friends. I need to get a job. I need to and you quickly learn to be patient, and you quickly
Yeah.
learn to be quite humble, and to like, you're not better than anyone. You're a nobody. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have a friend group. You don't have anything. And I think when you have that as a structure of the starting of the foundation of building it, it makes your life more wholesome, I think.
Absolutely. Is there anything that traveling has brought to your current life?
Yeah, I think I'd say it's made me not want to travel. Like right now, I'm very happy to not travel. I'm
Mhm.
just like, that's enough. I'm done. I don't need to see anything else. I'm just very content right now.
Did you actually enjoy the traveling experience, though?
Yeah. So the first time where I met my girlfriend, yes,
Mhm.
that was the best time of my life. But the last 6 months in New Zealand, not so much, because of the reason that I just missed being productive. Like when I wake up in Bali or in New Zealand, wherever, every day, and not exactly having anything proper to do. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have an agenda. I didn't have, like, I would sometimes make some videos, but I never did anything like I can do in Austria. So I just missed this feeling of productivity when I traveled in New Zealand and in Bali.
Yeah. If you hadn't left your home country, what do you think you'd be doing right now?
Yeah, that's something I ask myself sometimes.
Mm.
Um, I used to mow people's lawns in
Ah,
in New Zealand when I was studying in university, and that was like a side business. And I don't think that I would still be doing that, but I feel like I might have started something sort of side hustly in New Zealand, or not. I could be. I don't know. I think there's a chance I could have ended up in London or something
yeah.
in the in England.
Yeah, because you've got a UK passport, haven't you?
Yeah,
How come you've got a UK passport? One of your parents
yeah.
from the
Dad's
UK?
Scottish and Mum's from England.
Oh, okay. So you're not Kiwi by blood anyway.
Nah, I'm a little British boy
Ah.
who doesn't really settle well in the sun.
If you were in my shoes, what's one question you would have asked that I didn't?
Oh, this is a good question. Give me like 30 seconds to think about this.
Yeah, this is a head scratcher.
This is not a question, but I can explain it. One thing that I right now in my life am struggling with is this kind of, it's like this constant feedback from the internet, so from online, and then me making new content to put out, podcasts, videos, YouTube, everything. And this balance of feedback coming in, likes, views, comments, shared, like things like that, and then the pressure to put out new stuff is such a mentally weird position to be in. And it's actually like right now it's at the point ish where I get people speaking to me in the streets and stuff, and that's another feedback form where
Oh, yeah, of
someone
course.
says like, oh, you I love the videos and let's take a picture or something. And it's like something that I wish, or I want to explain, or I want people to, or like I want to talk about more and need help with, is this mental game that is so confusing for me, and it's so hard for other people to understand. I think like the only person that there's two other people that are also, they create TikToks and other social media content, and they said the same thing. It's like, yeah, it's crazy, like it's such a stressful, crazy, weird mental game to wake up every day and to like keep going what you're doing. And some days it's easy, some days it's harder. And that's something that I would like, that's not something that maybe you should ask me, but that's something I would just like, is a big part of my life right now.
Yeah, I bet it is. Yeah. Yeah, because I guess like you must get recognized all the time. And yeah, what is that like?
Yeah, it's weird. The first times that some people recognized me, I was very, very scared and nervous. And now it's becoming easier. But the weirdest thing is that I am starting to not have to introduce myself anymore. Like I still will introduce myself. Hey, I'm Jonny. But like most people that I meet, it's crazy. They know who I am already. And that's a weird thing. Like I went to this Udrai podcast festival,
Okay.
and like 90% of people that I met, I said, hey, Jonny, my name's Jonny. And they're like, yeah, I know who you are. And I was like, that's so weird.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I know who you are. I love the videos, by the way, blah, blah, blah. And then I like, that sort of, it starts to change my view on things. And then on Saturday we had a party, and like, I met lots of friends, and there was people there that I never met before, but they just knew who I was, probably because they knew that I was invited, and they maybe whatever. But
Yeah. People who you don't know who they are, but they know who you are.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird, huh?
And that is weird, because I feel very selfish. Like I don't know about you, but you know about me, and I should know about you. Like we should talk. I should know what you do for a living. Like what makes you happy, what makes you sad, blah blah blah. And
Yeah.
it's like this like the start off is quite unbalanced, which is quite confusing or quite weird.
Yeah, I bet it is.
And like you meet someone on the train, and they ask for a picture, and instantly they know more about me than I know about them. It's cool though. I mean, I'm very, very, very happy about it, because it means that I'm doing a good job with things, and they always say amazing things to me, like super nice things, but it's just something new to learn to deal with.
Yeah, it's a lot of feedback coming your way. Do you get much negative feedback or any trolls or anything like that?
No, not really. I'm quite lucky, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people comment things that I that just really mean. Like one dude commented once, like, "Wash your hair for once," and I was like, and I was like, "Oh man." I had greasy hair or whatever, but I don't think I did wash my hair. It's like, wash your hair for once. Oh, okay, sorry. Or like that's the one that stuck with me forever. I was like, okay,
Wow.
whew, sorry.
That's a bit much. He was obviously having a bad day.
Yeah, I think that's like the only explanation, surely.
Yeah, like it blows my mind, the things that people write.
Yeah, people are weird, eh? People are so weird.
It's like these keyboard warriors. It's like, what is going on in your life that this is what it's come to? Like getting on friggin' Instagram and telling someone to wash their hair.
Yeah.
Have you not got something better to do?
Yeah.
But yeah, bizarre. Totally bizarre. So, next question. Is there anyone you would like to nominate to come on the show and have a chat with me?
Oh, this is a really good question. You could interview the Aussie guy that I started everything with, because he's quite a good storyteller, and he's had so many crazy like hitchhiking stories, and he worked in Austria for 3 years. But the problem with that would be you'd have to call him when he's either waking up or when he's before bed.
Yeah, I did that with an Aussie actually last week. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
He's quite interesting, I think, in terms of like traveling and working abroad.
Okay, cool. What's his name?
His name's Luke Cutting.
Awesome. Well, hopefully you can put me in touch with him.
Yeah.
And we can have a chat. So what's next for you, Jonny?
Just trying to get better. I want to get better at podcasting. I want to get better at making videos, and I want to eventually sell some Austrian Kiwi styled merchandise.
Nice.
But do it really wholesome and sustainable and good quality. And I would also like to eventually start like an agency. Yeah. But right now, just making the best videos I can.
Do you ever feel like overwhelmed with it? Because there's so many things that I feel like I want to do, and I think you're probably in a similar situation. It's like, do you ever feel overwhelmed and like you just don't have enough time to do all the things you want to do?
Yeah, for sure. And context shifting is a big problem too. Like, let's say after this you have to do, I don't know what you have to do after this, but something completely different. Like, then you might still be thinking like, oh, I want to edit that podcast. Or like for me, for example, I am really trying to find like good quality fabric and t-shirts and stuff, and I want to find that, and that takes time. But then if you context shift from working on that to, oh, I record a podcast now with some dude 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
Like, they're completely different, but you'll want to get them both done. So
yeah, it's interesting. So where can people find you? What is your social media handles?
Just go to Austrian Kiwi with 2 I's at the end on Instagram if you are interested. And you can like click a link and then you'll find stuff. But if you're interested.
I hope people are interested, because hopefully that's why they've listened.
Yeah, I hope that people listening enjoyed this podcast. And I'm sorry that I'm not a seasonaire and I'm not that good at skiing. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been an absolute pleasure having a chat with you. Can you give us one parting piece of advice for anyone who's thinking about traveling or starting a new adventure?
If I could give myself advice, like I can try to give others advice, but what I would say to myself is that you will succeed in whatever you do if you're consistent, I think. And it's what I tell myself. It's like, you want to do podcasting, do it for 10 years and do it and get better and better and better and get better guests and get funnier stories and get better at storytelling. Whatever you do, if it's I don't know, cooking, you just got to keep doing it. You could keep doing it, especially with content creation. I think if you just start and you just keep doing it, you will succeed, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I tell myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about advice for others, but yeah, no.
It is great advice, Jonny. And thank you so much for giving me the time today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have a chat with you and actually meet you as well.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to listen to this, just because I like to hear myself talk. Basically. No, I'm just kidding.
It's been a pleasure, so thank you very, very much.
No, thank you.
I have to admit, I was a little starstruck with this one. Thanks again to the incredible Jonny Balchin for coming on the show today. If you're enjoying the show and want more where this came from, click the link in the show notes and be sure to subscribe to our mailing list for all the latest updates, competitions and helpful resources straight to your inbox. As always, thanks to Mike at Mike's Sports Bar for the studio space. Thanks to sponsors Dope Snow. Thanks to Mondo Wave for the music. And thanks to you guys for tuning in. See you all again next time.
Maybe you should cut this out because my mom's probably going to listen to this. My mom's going to be like, oh, what?